Hey, hey, hey.
1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine.
Hey,
It's my
hello,
time to
hello.
live. It's my time to fly.
It's my time. Hello, hello.
My
You
time.
guys hit the little arrow. Let's start sharing. See it. Hey, I can feel it. Time has come now. Do we feel it? Hey, I've been waiting for so long time now to do it. Go ahead and share, guys. Down, I can do it.
Cause I may not get another chance.
I can leave it. If I want it, I can have it. I believe it. I know I don't sing good. I don't care. Good morning or good afternoon. There she is. Tell myself again, I can do it. Hey.
And I'm not gonna stop till I win.
Good afternoon. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to shine. You guys go ahead and hit that little arrow. Go ahead and hit that little arrow and share. It's my time. She's a diva. Oh, she's a diva full of drama. Don't believe it. Hey, good morning. Good afternoon, Marcela. You guys might want to get a pen and a paper. Hey,
And ain't nobody got time for that.
nobody's got time for that. Woman has now arrived, and I won't let it pass me by. There she is. Okay. It's my time to live. It's my time. Hello, hello. Hello. That I am gonna live. Listen to the word. Living this. You guys, this song is my song. And the best thing is still inside of me. My son said I sing terrible. All right, guys. Okay. That song I can play, and it's like, I don't care what mood I'm in. I'm like, whoa, ready to go. All right, guys. Good afternoon. I always want to say good morning.
Yep.
First and foremost, welcome to our very first Wednesday of Empowerment with Women. I know I did some last couple of weeks ago, but it's a new year. I know you're seeing her here. I'm going to introduce her in a second, but it's a new year, and I'm going to ask Sylvia. So this kind of happened with Jerry. We can only see like from your nose down. So pull the phone back. I don't know why it did that to her, and it even recorded that way. It's really weird. So when your face is all the way, I'll tell you right there. Because she's like, I didn't see it like that on my phone. I don't know why, but yeah. Because you see yourself good, right? So just pull it back. Put your phone, go away a little bit because we can only see like, okay, so while you get that ready. So you guys, so I was thinking last year, now we can only see you from here up. I started thinking like, one of the things I love is just empowering people in general. I love women because I'm a woman, right? And I can relate to them. And last year I had some conversations with some women. Go up a little higher, Sylvia, because we can only see your neck. I know, it's super weird. I don't know what's up with Instagram. But anyway, and so I did some calls last year, and then I thought, you know what, we took a little break. And then I thought, you know what, come the new year, I want to do something I want to do something per every single month in a different topic. And then I thought, you know what, kicking off the year, I want to introduce to the community some of the women, because there's a lot more, okay? Some of the women that have impacted my life. Now we cannot see you but your nose and your beautiful lips. I love that lipstick, by the way. I know, it's so annoying. Look, move it up, and I'll tell you when I can see you. So you had it. Perfect. I can see you now. There we go. There you go. I love your eyebrows. So anywho, so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna interview some of these women, and then every month we'll do a different topic. So before I introduce Sylvia, I'm gonna tell you guys that one of the things about me is that I love to be around women that speak the truth to me. Whether they do it outside, I don't know, okay, but speak the truth to me, and that challenged me, that made me feel uncomfortable. And there is no one in my life that makes me feel more like that than this woman I'm going to introduce to you. I love her, okay? And I love a lot of my friends, but a lot of my friends are like, yo, we're like, I don't know. But with Sylvia, I'm like, okay, I better like, I don't want to say behave because not like she scolds me, but she challenges me in a different way. And so before I introduce her, she asked me, how have I impacted your life? I'm like, I have to think about that because it's been more than one way. But one of the ways that she has impacted my life is that she's really challenged me to look at myself. Whenever it's rare that she does this, I wish you would do this more. I'm gonna put you out there. But it's rare that she does this. But when she goes, can I be honest with you? Which, by the way, Sylvia, you don't ever have to ask that. And I'm like, I know it's coming. I'm like, okay, hold on, let me sit down. And she just lets me have it. And I love that. I know not everybody likes that. Okay. Everybody says they like that, but they don't like that. And so without further ado, now that we can see your beautiful face, now we see you at a corner. I don't know why.
So you could see what
I know. You had it perfect a little while ago.
It's weird because
So I could see. So if you're okay, we can. I know the same thing happened to Jerry. I don't know why. And I wish I would have told her something because I'm like, maybe she doesn't see it or maybe that's what she wants. But
what part of me can you see?
So move the screen up. I can see your no. I can see you from here down.
So
there you go.
Right there.
Now go down a little bit. Right there. Go up a little bit. Oh, up. Right there. You're probably gonna have to hold your phone.
I am holding.
Unless you can put it on something.
How's that?
Oh, okay. So there we go. Maybe put it somewhere. Right there, we can see you. Okay. I don't want to interrupt you. That's why I want you to get it because I know when she's on the flow, she's on the flow. Okay. So anyway, so thank you so much for doing this with me, Sylvia.
So wait, can you see me?
Well, it's blurry. Is it just me, you guys? No, perfect. Yes, right there. Don't move. Don't move.
I'm going to stay right here. Okay.
Yes, stay right there. Perfect. Can you guys all see and hear her good? Type it on the chat if you can hear and see her good. Okay, so it might be my connection. Okay, so first of all, thank you for doing this with me, babe.
Oh my God, it's such a, I have to say it is an honor actually of mine. Thank you for inviting me to do this. Karla, like you have been a huge inspiration to me and just so grateful. I mean, I met you in 2010, you know, what, 10, 11 years ago. And, you know, even though we hardly see each other, it's almost like we have this incredible connection. And I know that you have been one of my biggest inspirations, you know, just through the years. So when you asked me to do this, I was like, oh my God, you know.
And you're the first person I thought of. I hope the rest of the women don't get upset with me. But you're the first person I thought of. And the reason I thought about you, because see, every single one of my friends has different qualities.
Right.
Nobody's better than anybody else. They're just different.
Right.
But one of the things I love about Sylvia is that she really, not only does she coach women on mindset and body and nutrition and all of that, but she really, if I could say even more, I think that you really coach women on how to elevate their life. Right? And so I thought, how better to kick off the new year than to show women how, you know, for you to give us, me too, girl, I got my notebook, okay? For you to give us some tips on how to elevate our lives in this year 2021. So that's why I was like, she's got to kick off this call series. So thank you for that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself so people know like a little bit of who you are?
So no pressure, right? No pressure.
Girl, you can do it. Look, you
no,
know me. I would have not asked you if I did not know that you could deliver. Okay?
I want to say, you know, I love what you said. It's been a challenge for me actually to get my career like in order in this sense in the last couple of years, because I went from being a trainer in fitness to coaching women on mindset and leadership and business and just, a lot of good changes, transitions. And I'll tell you a little bit about, like Karla said, um, I was introduced to Herbalife in 2010. That's how we met. I was at an Herbalife event and I met Karla there at an event. And even though, my life changed, I was going through a lot at the time. I had just gotten married. And there was a lot of stuff going on. We started working together, Karla and I. And so much happened throughout the years. In 2016, I had my son. I was 35 at the time. And I always said, when I'm 35, I want to have a child, right? And that's exactly what happened. Things didn't go as planned. I had my son separate from his dad, and a lot of things happened after that. But go a little bit past that. So my background is pretty much, I have a military background. I was part of OIF2, did a tour in Iraq, and after that, I gained 50 pounds while I was in Iraq, right? And it was like the weirdest thing. How do you go to war and gain weight? But that's exactly what happened. So I came back, didn't recognize like who I had become, right? Not only was it just the weight gain, it was the PTSD, a lot of stuff, not knowing what to do with my life. So I want you today, as you take notes, is if you find yourself in, and I'm a little bit about so that you kind of could help any of these little scenarios like this at the moment, is I had no idea what to do with myself at the time. I got out of the military and I was like lost. I had no idea where I was going, what to do with myself. I knew I didn't want to be in the military anymore. But, I got the first thing I did. And so one thing about me is, and you want to take notes on this, is when I have a problem in my life, I go and get help. I don't just sit there and stay in the problem, right? That's one. So today I had told Karla, like I said, I want to piggyback off of, how did I make an impact in your life? But I thought about the topic about how to, show up in your life when there's a lot of chaos going on or there's a lot of stuff going on. Because how many of you guys know that problems are a part of life? Like, I'm not going to, that's one thing about me. I don't sugarcoat, right? So problems, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that life is just fun and dandy and there's no problems, right? So I was lost. I didn't know what to do. But the thing about me was that I had a problem. And the first thing I did when I got back, I never had one. I got a trainer. I'm like, who's going to help me with my problem? Let me hire a trainer. So, my journey started with this trainer. I ended up losing weight. But here's the key thing, and this is what I tell women now, is at the time I got on a diet, I started this program, I lost 50 pounds. But in the next 6 months, not only did I gain the 50 pounds back, I gained 10 more. On top of the 50, I gained 10 more. And not only that, I developed a really bad food addiction. So that started my life journey of how I ended up where I am today. It was that painful moment of getting out of that addiction that I was struggling with at the time, because I had a full-blown addiction of food. Getting out of that is what pretty much led me to where I am today, aside from all the other problems in my life, right? You turn them into this like beautiful thing that could either help you, make you, or break you. So, and you get to choose that path, right?
Yeah, and by the way, you guys, thank you for those of you guys who are commenting. I think it's really great because it like makes us realize like, okay, what do you guys need? We'll have the conversation go that way. But here's something that I thought about while you were talking right now. Like, so here you were. So first of all, I think that's what everybody should really take a note. It's like when you have a problem, go seek help. And I think a lot of the times, I think men do this more than women, but a lot of people will have a tendency to pretend everything's okay, like no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And while that's great that you're like trying to do your best to keep a good face, but if you deep inside yourself you know that there's something that's bothering you, whatever it is, you don't have to blast it to the world, but I really recommend that you go get seek some help in whatever that is, a trainer, whatever. But here's the thing, right? And I'm just gonna say this, and I hope I'm not stepping on your toes here, Sylvia, but to seek the right kind of help, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's almost like you got help, and I don't know what diet you did, but that you lost so much weight that although you reached your result, which was losing the weight, you know, how many of us in the beginning of the year, we make these huge, gigantic promises that we literally like almost always set ourselves to fail because we don't have a plan, we don't have a community, we don't have a support system. And then we go to these extremes that, like I've heard you say this all the time, like it's not about a diet, it's about a lifestyle. It's about you making those habits. So how many people get the wrong, and I don't even want to say it like that, but you know what I mean? Like you don't get the right help. You don't seek, here we go. You don't seek what you really need.
Well, yes. And I'm gonna tell you this. So the thing about that is that it's very important where you go. Yeah. Okay? Nowadays there's so many, especially in this whole new era that we're in, this social media world. There's so many gurus, right? Like of everything. And so it is really important that the person that you work with is someone you could really connect with. But the bigger thing from that is, I'm gonna tell you, I don't like regret that, even though it was a very painful time in my life. I had to meet that coach. I had to go through that pain so that I could be able to now teach way more women how not to do that, which is the biggest problem that happens nowadays with women is they go to many places, they lose weight, and then 6 months, a year later, you see them right back where they started. And what is not that the trainer or the coach or the business mindset person, they didn't do a good job. What happened is sometimes is there's blocks right here, right? There's what you don't know. So although the trainer did his job, he gave me the diet, he gave me the workouts, he did what he was supposed to do. Me as a person, I was not mentally ready to sustain the body that I had actually received.
Can you say that again? You guys, listen to what you just said. That's deep. Say it
So
again.
physically, I became the person I wanted to be, but because mentally I wasn't that person, I couldn't sustain that body. So it's like if you go and you win the lotto, but you've been a poor, broke person all this time, unless you hand over that money to someone who can actually do something with it, what do you think you're going to do with it? You're going to be back to the same person that you were before you got that money. And that's the same thing because you have the poor mindset. And so I don't mean this like with any disrespect, but that is what happens when people lose weight so fast is they get the skinny thin body, but they still continue to live with the overweight mindset. So the body doesn't catch up to the mind, like the mind doesn't catch up to the body as fast, which is why I dove into personal development like no other. Because personal development is that exercise piece that you need for everything to sustain your business. Because guess what? What's going to happen, and this is huge, like when we talk about identity, I was talking about in my mastermind last night about identity, is knowing who you are, not your business, not who you are at home as a mom, not who you are as a partner, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, who you are outside of all of that. Because if you know who you are, then if your business fails, that doesn't penetrate you. So what happened is my body, like, it caught up. I had this amazing body, but I still had the mindset that of the pain, the all of the stuff that I hadn't dealt with was right here. It was my beliefs, my core beliefs of the world, of my weight loss. I was never going to sustain that weight.
How do you, so many of us, and it's just, she's just showing that is in the weight loss, right? But it could be your business. She like let me have it the other day in my relationships, right? So I mean, beliefs really play such a huge role in our lives. And I think that many of us don't, like, exactly what you just said. We don't know what we don't know. We don't see, like, it's so funny, right? Because both Sylvia and I have been to this. It's a thing called landmark education. And I remember I went to my family and I'm like, oh, you know what I discovered about myself? And then I told them, and they're like, I could have told you that. And I'm like, and they probably did, but it wasn't until like I really realized it that it really sunk in. Like, holy cow, I am XYZ. Holy cow, I need to change this. So, how does somebody start to change those beliefs in their head? Like, how do we do that?
Okay, so this is the key thing, right? Is, everybody sets resolutions, and I think at this point we're like, okay, people know that resolutions go through a little period, and then people start to fall off to their old habits, right? And the reason why that happens, and one of the biggest things that helped me in my you know journey of everything, building my business, my life, I pretty much built, like, the thing that was supposed to, like, destroy me is what I turned into my business, right? And that's what you want, is whatever there's a pain in your life that keeps repeating itself, there's a huge gem in that. There's a huge gem in that pain. And it's important to understand that when there is a pain in your life, that pain is not there just because. That pain is there to reveal something to you. You just haven't figured out what it is. Okay? And
Can you repeat that? I have a feeling that not a lot of people heard what you just said.
that
So you have a pain that is constantly coming over and it's coming up over and over again. There's a huge gem in that. And
yeah.
say that again. It's
So
there to what?
is that okay? I'll give you an example. If let's put this in relationships, right? Let's, and I've been married and I got divorced, and I have a 4-year-old son. I never thought I was gonna separate from my son. I never, you never imagined that, right? But if that is something that keeps repeating in your life, it's a pattern, right? Like, you go into relationships, they don't work out, and I'm not saying that you're supposed to stay with everyone, right? But what I am trying to say is that you need to have a level of awareness I understand that relationships were not one of my strengths. And there was a lot of pain in this area for me in my life. The big pain for that particular time was with my son, and the fact that I had a son. So I told myself, like, I need to figure out why this keeps repeating itself. And this is going to be the biggest part, is automatically we want to go to the other person. Automatically we want to it's human nature to want to put it on everything that's wrong with that individual. What I came to realize in my new relationship now is that the bigger issue was my inability to communicate effectively, my inability to be a partner and communicate, the things that I wasn't giving, that I was not aware, right? So when you ask the question about how do you begin to change that, well, we tend to act mainly from our subconscious. Okay, this is like a whole like science stuff, right? Your subconscious is, this goes back to your childhood, and I know a lot of people hate when I start. I talk about childhoods a lot, okay, and the reason I talk about childhoods a lot is because that's where your beliefs were ingrained at that point, you know. So if you lived with people who were very fearful of everything, of like, don't jump, you're gonna get whatever, fear environment, poverty environment, constantly mad environment, chances are, if you notice your own traits, you have some of those, right? If you're in a happy environment, then you're gonna be like a happy person more naturally. You don't have, it's not going to be hard for you to be happy because you grew up in that environment. So your subconscious takes over most of the time. So let me give you an example. You say, I want to lose 10 pounds. You're excited. You meet with your trainer or your coach. You tell your coach, your business coach, Sylvia, I want to make, 5K this month and this is what I want to do. And then I'm like, great. So let's make this plan. You begin to execute. Then all of a sudden, your favorite TV show comes on, and it's like your subconscious mind takes over. It's more of like who you are deep inside. So the person that you want to be, the conscious part of you, typically won't win the subconscious. You have to really make yourself, right? So your question is, it's a combination of things. Is gonna be the things that you read, how you spend your time, what your routine is like. The big part of that is gonna be your language to yourself. Okay, so here's the key thing, okay? And I don't like to go into the subconscious stuff. Like, it takes me a long time to explain it. But here's the key thing you want to think about is, if you think about something, like for instance, if you've been trying to lose weight and you tell yourself like you want to lose weight and you don't know why, you just don't. Like, Karla, let me ask you this question. So for you, right? Let's say if you're committed to like your fitness, your fitness program or something like that, what do you think, if you think at the top of your head, like what's your greatest challenge?
Consistency.
Consistency, right? Like, you think in the exercise portion or the eating portion?
More like in the drinking portion.
Okay. Okay. So
I'm just keeping it real. I mean, like, I don't have a problem eating healthy, like, but honestly, like, I think it's like having the drinks around, and then when I drink, I make poor choices, and then it's one thing leads to another.
right. Okay. So that is part of that. That is like part of habits, a lot of it, right? But if you want to go to the deeper part about like, why do I continue to live like this? So when I was having a food addiction and I wanted to overcome a food addiction, I had to really dig deep and think about, I need an entirely new life, if that makes sense. I had to have a brand new life. I couldn't operate like the overweight girl, if that makes sense. So I had to change everything in my life.
But don't you think, okay, so I'm just going to be honest. I hear you say that, and I know because I know you, but I'm going to pretend I don't know you. And I'm the first thing that comes to my mind. I don't know if a lot of people type it on the chat if you feel me. Maybe I'm the only crazy one, but I'm like, dang, that's a lot. Or something along the lines of like, for example, right? I was talking to somebody yesterday and she's like, okay, I told everybody around me, I'm not drinking anymore, because every weekend they get together with the family and the friends and they're constantly drinking. And so to hear you say, I'm going to have to get a whole new life. If I were her, okay, I would be like, some part of me would be fearful of being disconnected to people, not having fun with them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm the only crazy one thinking that way.
Very important point what you just said, okay? And this is where I go into with my clients is if you come and you tell me that is that my thought of you is that you think that in this world your way of connection is through that. Well, my way of connection is different. Your perception of what connection is what's keeping you stuck.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Is your
See, a lot of people are typing in the chat that they can relate. Um, this has been the issue with some of my friends lately. Because, like, for example, like you saw when I did my bikini competition, you and Sochi were never like, eat this, eat that. If anything, you guys, I remember one time I went out with Sochi, and she's like, I'm like, oh my God, you and I was like, chew gum. Like, you guys, I want dessert. I want some sweets. And you guys gave me solutions. But most of the people around me were like, come on, Karla, come on, just have one, or like, come on. And then it put me in a situation. I mean, luckily I'm very mentally strong, but it put me in a situation where I almost felt like, man, I can't go out with these guys because they just like, they sabotage what I'm trying to create. And, or they make me feel like crap for not, joining them in the fun, basically,
right. So a couple things, okay? Because I mean this happens a lot even with my own clients, right? Like Sylvia, so and so in my family, we have to have this and this is what I always say. Unless you could get rid of people, you can't throw people in the trash, you can't get rid of them. They're in your life, right? You can't, this is part of life, right? So there's a couple things, okay? Is one, I always say you can't control the other people, period. Okay? You can't. But what is the thing that you hear all the time is you can't control yourself, right? But this is the hard part. It's easier said than done. You can control yourself. So how do you control yourself when you're out there with your friends at dinner or wherever? How do you control yourself when you're getting this bombarded with, oh, come on, just have one? Is what I was talking about yesterday in my mastermind group is, well, I'll give you an example, is you need to have your own core values, your personal core values of like who you are. Like that is who I am. So regardless of what you're going to eat or if you're going to drink or if you're going to smoke, whatever it is that you're doing, that's not me. And it's not part of my core values. And if you feel disconnected, that's your problem, not mine. I feel connected to you because I'm there with you. As like, I feel connected to you right now. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to feel connected because I'm having a drink or because I'm going to eat with you. If I don't feel like I want to eat or if I do want to eat, that's up to me. Does that make sense? But the connection piece, like the things that we assign, right? We assign certain things to connection. And of course, people do connect with food. People do connect, through drinks. And that is part of connection, right? But if you have your core values or even plan ahead, I don't know, there's a lot of components.
You know what? So by the way, you guys, I see everyone's like trying to give me advice. I was just giving an example. My friends didn't force me to eat or drink. I'm very fortunate to have the people around me that they do sometimes would give me, like, I remember I went to Sochi's bachelor party in Miami and I wasn't drinking. And they were all like, you're not drinking? I'm like, no, don't worry though. Like, I'm still fun, like I don't have to have alcohol to have fun. And then they were like, oh, okay. Like, they were like, you're not drinking? And I was like, no. And that's all I said. I was like, no, I'm not drinking. Why? And I told them why. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they were like, great, you can watch our purses. Cabronas. Anyway, so don't worry, you guys, I'm not that weak. I shouldn't say weak. I'm not that vulnerable, right? But here's something I want to say about what you're saying about your core values. One time, my coach, which will be the last call of the month, I chose her to do it right before the full moon. Her name is Olga. One time she said something to me that I'll never forget. And it really goes to what you're saying, Sylvia, about the core values. And that is that she said, like, how do you want like basically she was telling me like to be true to myself, to have my core values. She always tells me be centered with what you want, be focused with what you want, you know. And then I'm sure you guys have heard this before. If not, here it is, that you train people how to treat you.
Absolutely.
So you will train people on how to treat you. And we were going into that whole conversation, and then she said to me, she goes, now, for example, you know, she goes, if you go to Mexico, she goes, and if you want to buy me something to bring me back, she was saying about her. She's like, if you're like thinking like, oh, I want to buy Olga something, would you bring me back a bottle of mezcal? And I'm like, no. Would I bring you back a bottle of mezcal? She's like, why not? I go, because you don't drink. She goes, okay. What would you bring me? I'm like, I probably would bring you like some teas because you love tea. I would bring you like some tea sets because you love tea sets. I would bring you some jewelry with stones because you love those, because you love wearing them. She goes, you see, you know that because I've trained you to know that about me. Yeah. And so she challenged me. She's like, how do you want people to treat you is how you treat yourself. So if you treat yourself a certain way, hence your core values, and you're in alignment and you're consistent with how you treat yourself, others will treat you the same. And I'll never forget her saying that. I mean, and it's easier said than done, right? Like I still somewhat get challenged with that. But if there's a lot of women here on the line, like, you know, I remember seeing Sylvia, like, you know, her stepdad would buy her things. And I'm like, that is so weird. I remember thinking, I don't know if I ever told you this, Sylvia. One time we went to Forever 21 and your stepdad bought you stuff, paid for it. And I was like, that is so weird to me, right? And the reason why it was weird to me is because up until my husband, I never had men that would treat me that way. I never had men buy me nice things. I never had men spoil me like that. And I remember Sylvia, I remember seeing that. I was like thinking, I remember telling Olga, and she's like, it's because you don't ooze that about yourself. Like, you know, so, you know, if you want people to change the way that they're treating you, it's got to start within. Like, you got to change how you treat yourself, you know, and it's a constant. I mean, I'm not going to lie now that you guys can blow up the chat, giving me some love. Thank you. But that is something that I am challenged with and have to be mindful, right? Because of the way that I was raised, because of all the women in my life, give, and hardly ever receive. And when you give to them, it's not even fun because they don't receive it well. So that's how I was trained and taught. So now I have to be mindful. I have to be mindful to shift that. And it's a constant conscious struggle for me, because if I want people like boundaries, okay, like I have a hard time. Well, hold on, erase that thought. Before the last week of the month of last year, I made a mental shift and I had this whole revelation and I did this whole healing and let go and burned and all this stuff, because one of the areas in my life that I found that I really struggled with is boundaries. You know, I would get hurt by people. So I'm like, okay, right there. Right. And that's not who I am. Like, I'm very loving and I'm very there for people, but I do recognize that I would come across like, stop, hammer time. Right. And I was like, I'm not that person. But why it was oozing out, and you helped me see that in that long text that we had, was that I was how did you tell me? Like, I was exposing that part of me all from fear.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I think interesting, like everything that you just mentioned, you know, how it happens and how things kind of like what I was saying out of scenario, and a painful scenario. It could be area.
Okay, keep talking. I'm gonna take my son to my husband. Keep talking.
Anything that like to be boss, it could be money, it could be be in relationship, right? And so, like I said earlier, the thing about the core principles is, or your core values, your DNA, more who you be no matter what is happening in your life. So, in something happen or when things arise or something is going on that is not the most powerful, the best time in your life per se. Easy to easy to be losing weight. It's easy to when things are great. But what about when you are having problems or things are not going so well in your life? Then what? Like then what tends to typically happen to the typical person is then they don't start showing up consistently on Instagram, in their business, or they come with this mood or this like down energy, or now they were doing really great at showing up at their workouts but now they're not showing up. So how do you keep the time when there is painful moments in your life but you still have all this stuff that you want to accomplish? Is the biggest thing is back to your core, back to those core values of who you are. Because if you go back to those core values, even in your painful moments, you'll continue to show up. Even like when I was going through my separation and continue to show up. I don't even think half my clients knew what was happening in my life. Nobody. Right. And it's not about not being real, because eventually, I am always very open with my clients, but it's more about how do you continue to show up powerfully is by you making sure that you show up for yourself first. And I think that as women, this tends to happen a lot, is we're really great at showing up for other people. And it's almost, I always give the example of if you broke your arm, right? And you're carrying a cast and you're trying to build something with this cast on. And that is how, what I found is what happens with a lot of women that I talk to is it's almost like they're trying to build this incredible business with this cast on because they have stuff that they're not dealing with. So building this business becomes very hard, or reaching that fitness goal becomes really hard because you have this cast. You're not working on what you should. And so now it makes it that much more difficult for you to show up. But if you have your core values of what you believe for yourself, what you stand for, and maybe you never even thought of that, like for yourself. So when I think of myself as a woman who shows up no matter what. I think of myself as like what I'm committed to. I think I have this like these standards for myself, if you want to call them. And so I don't back down from those standards. Yeah, I have a lot of bad days. There's been months where many more bad days than good days. But still, my standards for myself make me push through it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So instead of working with this cast on all the time, it's like you're healing, and now eventually you take that cast off. So now life becomes less of that pain in that particular area. There's a huge gem, I always say, when there's pain somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. My son found me. I'm like, dang it. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody I don't know if you're willing to take some questions, Sylvia.
Sure, I am.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody, okay, you guys, just nothing, I'm just kidding. Do you guys have any questions? Go ahead and type them in. And then we'll go ahead and then we'll just give you some last minutes and last thoughts. But, one of the things I will tell you, they always do. So one of the things that I will tell you that I personally, am going to invite all of you. We're going to be having a different woman every single week. And, everyone is different, right? But one of the things that I will tell you that now that you're saying that, I was like, that's interesting. One of the things that I have found is that a lot of the women that I am surrounded with, so go ahead and type in your questions if you have any. A lot of the women that I'm surrounded with, for the most part, not all the way, but for the most part, our values align. Like, not completely, because obviously Sylvia is very different than I am. I'm very different than Carmen, who you'll meet next week. We're all actually, it's kind of funny. I'm surrounded with a lot of calm people. Maybe because you guys bring my calmness and I give you guys energy. I don't know. But but for the most part, like, these are women that we have a lot in common with as far as our values, Okay, here's the question. Can you see it?
No, I can't. So if you could read.
Okay, great. So it says, how do you help your clients with emotional eating issues? I have a difficulty translating my journey to others. She has lost 120 pounds in her journey, by the way, the person that's asking.
Okay, so how do I help my clients with emotional eating? Okay, great question. Well, I think one of the things that happens nowadays, and I think for the longest, is that we don't tend to typically know, like, if I'm sad, we don't know how to say, like, oh my God, I feel sad, I should go cry right now. Or if we're frustrated, we don't typically say, like, I'm angry right now, let me go beat that pillow up to get my anger out. What happens is we tend to typically do something to make us feel good, to get us out of that pain. For some people, it's food. For some people, it's alcohol. For some people, it's different things. Okay? So for me, how I help a client during that is I really listen to my client about what's happening in their life. So I have to really know what is going on in their life, so I can address that particular, if that person is having emotional eating or having a lot of stress eating, is because they're experiencing something in their life that they're not giving the proper name to, if that makes sense. So maybe the woman,
like, they're not naming it. You mean like they're just like kind of like out of mind, out of sight type of thing?
well, in a sense, is maybe the woman has stress from her marriage, let's just say, right? Let's say the lady has stress from her marriage, and she doesn't have like that great communication with her husband. So she's upset about something, and there's something that's like going on in her mind over and over and over. She's stressed out, and then she goes straight to the kitchen and starts eating something, even though she's not hungry. It's not time for her if she follows a meal plan to eat, but she goes in there and starts eating. Then after, she's like, why did I eat all that? I'm on a meal plan. I'm supposed to be on my fitness plan. That's emotional eating. Okay? It was driven by emotions. It wasn't by hunger. So at this point is developing the tools for that woman to identify, I'm really stressed out about the scenario that just happened, or I replayed in my head about my husband. I'm upset right now. What I should do is I probably should lay down, or probably should talk to him about it. So pretty much naming what's really happening. Because what's happening is there's a behavior that is replacing that whole part. So until you don't develop that tool, you'll continue to emotionally eat forever. It's almost like and that is a painful thing in your life. If a person is emotionally eating, emotionally drinking, emotionally abusing anything, that is a pain in your life. That is the reason why you're not achieving your goals. So I help my clients deal with that so they get a result. Because as long as you're drinking every night, you're not going to get a result. As long as you're getting off your meal plan, you're not going to get a result. As long as you're not following through because there's something in your way, you're not going to get a result. But if you haven't known how to uncover that to this day, what makes you think you're going to know now? You need someone, or until you get your revelation to understand what is happening, then it's going to be continue to be the blind spot. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just answered the other question. Somebody else asked that they have a hard time succeeding and reaching their goals. Why? So you just answered that. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Emma, I hope that helped answer your question because you pretty much just answered it. Anybody else have a question? Okay. Nope. Okay. Everybody else is just commenting that helps. Thank you so much. Yes, naming it helps. We missed Sunday calls with you.
You're gonna up soon.
Okay. All right. So, any last thoughts, Sylvia, before we wrap up the call?
I want to say, last thing, for 2021 is I have this mantra that I started with my clients, and it's no hiding. Okay, that's my mantra for 2021 is no hiding. With all of what's been happening in the world right now, being on Zoom, and I challenged my clients. I said, no more are you guys going to show up with your cameras off. It promotes an environment, and excuse my language, but to me it's an environment of laziness. It promotes an environment of hiding, and it keeps you comfortable and in your comfort zone. That's not me. It's never gonna be me. If you come around me, I'm not gonna accept it. Like, I understand there's certain times where like things happen and you can't have, but I'm talking about on an energetic level. No hiding. Show up. Show up for yourself. If you want to, I have some virtual workouts, and what I know that people, when they have their camera off, they're not going to push themselves like when they have their camera on. They're probably doing other things, and you're never going to get a result like that. So no hiding for 2021. Take your pictures. If you don't like to take pictures right now, ask yourself why. And make that be your accountability. I make my clients take pictures and say, take a picture. And if you don't like it, then guess what? You need to change it. No hiding in 2021. That's like the big thing for me right now is cameras on. And I don't say this like for like Zoom. I say this energetically. Is show up for yourself. Catch yourself when you want to hide. So I think that's all I have.
Absolutely. And so, just to reconfirm what she's saying, you know, the camera is just a symbolism.
Yes.
Okay. The camera is just a symbolism because you could have your camera on, but you could be off. Right. So it's like the camera is just a symbolism. Why do you always have your camera off? Why do you like hide? Why don't you, I'm going to blast somebody here. I see that she's on here. Yami. The other day, she told us that she challenged herself. She's a teacher, and there were some groups or something. I don't remember exactly the thing, but they asked for a leader. And she's she says she's quiet, but she's like, and I stepped up and I'm the leader of the group, and that's what Sylvia's talking about. Like, stop hiding, show up, not only for the camera being on as a symbolism. Maybe that's your first step. Like, you know what? Okay, this is a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to turn it on. I always tell people, even if you're driving, leave the camera on. If you're like, washing some dishes because you're finishing up dinner or something, and you're gonna then go to your desk, leave your camera on because it has you show up a different way. So today I'm gonna tell you something, Sylvia. Today I was gonna do a workout outside, and I don't have any equipment here at my parents' house, and everybody was gone. The 4 dogs, my son was everywhere, and I knew that I wasn't going to give it my all on the workout. I just knew it. I was like, I'm going to be so distracted. So guess what I did? I went live. I went live on my workout because I knew that if I was going live, I was going to have to finish it. Even though there was 1 or 2 people here and there, but I did it for me. I was like, I need to do this workout and give it the best that I can with the circumstances that I have. So I didn't hide from myself. So you guys, I hope that you found this. Anything, Sylvia, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that, I hope that I want to do another live at some point, Karla, about multitasking. Okay. This is like a huge thing that also for 2021, I have found, we become a world of multitaskers. And I want to tell you that although multitasking works when you're doing laundry and maybe watching your kid. It doesn't work when you're trying to do like really amazing things like in your business or grow yourself, is, and especially if you're even trying to lose weight. Eating, and if you're listening to a podcast and doing your workout, you're not going to give 100% to both. You're going to get 50% of each, right? And you're never going to get the ultimate result. You're going to get 50% of the podcast and you're going to give your workout 50%. Is in that moment of multitasking in certain areas, it's not going to work. And learn to decipher when that is. So I want to do like a live on that.
Well, I'm getting people to say, yes, bring her back. Sylvia's the best advice and tip. Yes, bring her back. No hiding.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, with that said, thank you to everybody who joined in. Yes, I will put this on my feed. There's a little arrow. You're welcome to share it. I think that this is the type of information that all women and men need, because the reality is, you don't always have friends with this kind of wisdom, and not everybody, like, there's Sylvia's specialty is not mine at all, right? And so whenever I need something, I'm not going to pretend. I just call her and I'm like, girl, this is what's going on. So maybe this audio could be that for someone that is having a hard time in their lives, or maybe is hiding, and let them know. Watch until the end and let me know what she said. And that would be your tip if they watched it all the way to the end. No hiding in 2021. Thank you so much, Sylvia. God bless you. And we'll definitely do a multitasking one. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.